Hello and welcome to Project 5P. I just got off of a phone call with a friend who is a member of the military, pretty high ranking, very unique role in the military, and learned some information that was worthy enough for me to pull over and speak on it right now. Yeah, so still trying to process it a little bit, to be honest with you. I don't want to be the, doom and gloom person or panic, hype up the sky is falling type, but definitely the sky is loose on its hinges, we could say. I thought this information was good enough without getting too detailed, without the individual getting too detailed with me or me needing to get too detailed with you. It's reliable enough to where I feel comfortable speaking about it. This person that I spoke to is not somebody that's, into a lot of hype. They're not somebody that flaunts their status or their clearance or their ranking or anything like that. This is not somebody that contacted me and is like, ooh, guess what I heard, or guess what's going on. I contacted them, and the last time I've actually even done that with this person, to even ask questions or even go into that type of territory, was during COVID, when there was talks and rumors of nationwide martial law and different governments, all the world governments playing footsies with each other and having behind the scenes schemes and things like that during COVID. So I contacted the person during that time, and that was the last time I really asked any questions along these lines as far as what's going on. And during that time, this person provided the information they provided ended up being spot on. So I have no reason to doubt them. This is somebody that's been in the military for, well, I don't even know how long. I've known them for over 20 years, and they've been in the military the entire time I've known them. So over 20 years. So again, reliable information as far as I'm concerned. So take it for what it's worth. Comment, share feedback with the people watching, share this video with people that you might that you think would benefit from the information, and I'll disperse that information as we go along, because there's some pointers and some tips that I want to get to of what I think you should be doing in the meantime. It's easy to dismiss all the stuff with Iran and the Middle East and all the wars and stuff, because we become so desensitized to it. We hear of wars all the time, of everything drama going on in the Middle East, and because it's not right in our backyard and we don't see mushroom clouds on US soil, that it's easy to kind of dismiss it, and it's far away. But now we're at the point where we have localized threats. By the time you see this, I mean, everybody's heard of the threats of drone attacks on the West Coast, suspected or supposed Iran threats of drone attacks coming to the West Coast. Now, are they legit threats from Iran? Are they U.S. propaganda? Are they Iranian propaganda? Are they our own government psychologically preparing us for some type of false flag? This isn't the video to debate those things necessarily, because really it doesn't matter. I mean, in the big picture it matters, but as far as for the purposes that we're going to talk about here today, whether a bomb went off tomorrow in San Francisco, and whether it was a false flag event or whether it was Iran, doesn't matter as far as how you're going to need to react to it and what you need to do now to prepare for it. So in that regard is what I mean. It doesn't matter. Either way, the response from a civilian and from society standpoint it doesn't really matter. Okay, so that's not what this discussion is about. Big picture, does it matter as far as the implications of World War III? Yeah, it matters in that regard. Are we in World War III? Are we heading there? I mean, just look around, right? Russia's in an ongoing war with Ukraine. Middle East is on fire again. We're at war with Iran. Our government and our president's making a big deal that, you know, that Russia is supplying intelligence to Iran. Are they doing that just to garner, you know, more support from U.S. citizens as far as this war goes? I don't see how that's newsworthy as far as what Russia's doing. Of course, Russia's supporting Iran. That's their ally. Of course, they're going to give them intelligence. I mean, we're supporting Russia's enemy. We're supporting Ukraine, not only just with intelligence, but with actual military capabilities, with weapons and things like that. And again, this isn't the place where I'm trying to debate whether that's a good or a bad thing, or whether we're doing the right or wrong thing, or who's right and who's wrong with Russia, Ukraine, and blah, blah, blah. That's not what this talk is about. I'm just speaking, objectively speaking, just facts being facts. We're supporting Ukraine against Russia. Of course, Russia's going to support Iran against us. China's supporting Iran against us. So when you take into all that, all these, I mean, looks a whole lot like World War III. I mean, you got so many different countries involved in different wars against each other, whether directly or by proxy. And it has the potential to get much, much worse, much, much quicker than we would otherwise expect. What this friend of mine told me, this military member that's, and again, very reliable source, high ranking, very unique role. I don't want to say exactly what it is because it would be too easy to identify this person because the role is so unique. But one thing they said is that, and keep in mind, this is somebody that's been in the military for 20 plus years. They've been through the Iraq, Afghanistan. They've been through, you know, you name it when military wise. But said some of the things that we're doing, we meaning the United States government and military, is doing in regards to this war, in regards to preparation for further war, in preparation for retaliatory attacks, in preparation for safeguarding us on the mainland here, is something they've never seen before. So that, to me, means something coming from this person. They've never seen anything like this, and they've definitely been in a position to see it all. So it's easy for us here in the United States to think, oh, it's not so bad, because again, we're not seeing it yet directly here, other than gas prices maybe. But we're not seeing the effects of this war yet. Just because, you know, bombs aren't falling on your local library doesn't mean that this doesn't have the potential to get very bad for us here domestically, and to do so very quickly, like potentially overnight. It has the potential to get very bad, very quick, and without further warning. And whether that's through violence and military type actions, or whether it's economics, the economic impact, that remains to be seen, but it definitely has the potential, and they are treating it as such. Again, in ways that they've never prepared, in ways that they've never addressed potential possibilities before with other wars. And it stands to reason that it's just a matter of time. I mean, even if it's just economic impact, I mean, obviously the United States military is far more advanced technologically, and we're far superior. The United States military is far superior than what we're facing. But again, with the support of Russia and China, we're fighting. At some point, it's a war of attrition, because you have Iran with, whatever, $50,000 drones that can cause serious damage, and they've got tens of thousands, and we're having to shoot them down and destroy them with, $1 million rockets and missiles. And that game can only continue so long economically before the government goes bankrupt. I mean, we only have so many $1 million missiles to shoot down these $50,000 drones, and they're producing them at a 4-to-1 rate of what we do with our drones, and much less expensive. And again, having the support of China and Russia. So all that to say, what should we be doing? How does that affect you? I would urge everybody watching immediately, if you're not already, to start preparing for worst case scenario. And there's 3 main areas that I believe are most important that can be implemented immediately, and that if you're not already doing it, need to start. If you are doing it, need to get your ducks in a row and make sure, tidy up, cross your T's and dot your I's. Number 1 is food storage. Long-term food storage, stuff that will last on the shelf for long periods of time. Your dried goods, like corn, rice, wheat, beans, oats, obviously stuff that you'll actually eat. Don't buy 500 pounds of corn if you're allergic to corn. Don't buy, obviously, but stock up on those things. There's plenty of videos online of how to store those things long term. I have videos on my channel of how to store those things long term with correct packaging, buckets, Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers, etc. Pretty easy to find information on that. Those are, everything I just listed are carbohydrate sources. Protein sources that are shelf stable, like canned meats. A lot of those canned meats will also have fat, so you have fat source as well. Fats can go rancid, but your most fats that you get, even like cooking oils and things like that, will, in the right environment, will last 3 to 6 months on the shelf. So that's your carbohydrates, protein, and fats. And then fruits and vegetables. How do you get fruits and vegetables that are going to stay shelf stable? Ideally, you're growing a garden of some kind. Ideally, you're growing your own. If you're not, get started. But this is a time-sensitive matter that we're talking about here, so you should start a garden. But you're not going to be producing enough to supply yourself with fruits and vegetables by the time you need it, probably. So get freeze-dried is the best way to do that. StorehouseFDFoods.com. StorehouseFD, as in freeze-dried, foods.com. Freeze-dried fruits and vegetables there. Shameless plug. But what I would highly encourage is 90 days worth of food storage. And yes, I know that sounds like a lot. I think FEMA only suggests, what is it, a week, 2 weeks? They might have upped it to 30 days. I don't know, but I would highly suggest 90 days. And don't get discouraged if that sounds like a ton, if that seems overwhelming. Start somewhere. When I first started stocking food years ago, I literally started with 1 box of macaroni and cheese. And times were tough financially, but going to Costco and buying the, whatever it is, 12-pack of macaroni and cheese, I'd take 1 box out. I took 1 box out, put it in the corner of the pantry, and said, okay, we have 11 boxes of macaroni and cheese to eat. When those 11 boxes are gone, it's time to go get more macaroni and cheese, right? That 1 box that I just set aside it's out of mind. It's not even available to us. That is for emergency only. And literally started my food storage with 1 box of macaroni and cheese. And then the next time went to the store and got that same 12-pack, 1 more box. And now, I'm not going to say how much food we have, but suffice to say, far more than 90 days worth, I'll say that. But not just having the food, but what are you going to do with the food? How, if power goes out, which is a high probability, and I'll talk about that more later, how are you going to cook that food? Have plans. It's not just about acquiring stuff. How would you eat? How are you going to cook that stuff if you have no electricity, no gas in your home, no propane, whatever it is? How are you going to cook that food? Have a plan for that. If that seems like too much, and if this seems overwhelming, like I said, start somewhere. And if you're thinking that, you know, like I said, we have this tendency to think, oh, you know, it'll never happen. We've heard this before. We've heard, you know, war is, you know, it's constant, and especially in the Middle East, we've been through this before, and no big deal. It's easy to blow it off. But understand that everything you think you know is based only off what you've been told. All of us are just basing our knowledge off of what we've been told. I don't think anybody watching this has been to Iran. Nobody really knows the extent of what's going on. So let's not be so arrogant as to think that what we're basing our lifestyle on, what we're basing our actions on, the knowledge that we say we have or what we believe is based 100% in truth. It's not. What you think is true is only because that's what you've been told, or you've told yourself that to make yourself feel better and be able to sleep at night. But whether other people are deceiving you or you're deceiving yourself, a lot of what you think you know is not factually true, period. And that goes for all of us. It just isn't. People lie, people deceive. Sometimes people lie without knowing they're lying. They might just have the wrong information themselves, and they're just passing it on. Whether they're doing it deceptively or with evil intent or not is one thing. But either way, a lot of what we think we know, we don't know. And like I said, you even lie to yourself. And that's not just about this situation. That's just in general. You're carrying on with your life based on a lot of falsehoods. So be open to the fact that there's a lot of truth out there that you may not be aware of, and that you may be convinced otherwise of at this moment. Number 2, water. You've probably heard stock water, and I'm not talking about a 32 pack of water from Costco. I'm talking about water, lots of it. The common suggestion is 1 gallon per person per day. Not gonna cut it. At least 3, preferably 5 gallons per person per day. Dang, P, that means, what is that? 5 gallons per person for over 90 days. That's 450 gallons. That's what, 1,350 gallons for a family of 3 if I'm supposed to store 3 months worth of water. Yeah, it is. Go on Facebook Marketplace, get some food grade 50-gallon drums, IBC tote, something, and just start filling those things up with water and keeping them on hand. But again, it's not just about having the things. It's not just about having food. Think of how you're going to utilize that when the time comes. It's not just about having water. How are you going to purify it? How are you going to filter it if and when the time comes? We take it for granted that we turn on the faucet right now and water comes out. It's not always going to be that way. Our water infrastructure, our electrical grid, our cellular network, our internet capabilities, those are some of the easiest targets to sabotage if you are an enemy of the United States. Those systems are easy targets. Don't take them for granted. Very likely that you will be without power. Quite likely the possibility that you could be without water. Plan accordingly. And again, if that seems like a lot, it's really not. 90 days, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, If you're starting from zero, yeah, it seems like a lot. But again, don't let the daunting task discourage you and say, there's no way I'm going to do that, so screw it. I'm just going to, whatever happens, happen. No, start somewhere. Get some buckets, off of Facebook Marketplace or whatever, OfferUp or whatever you use, and just start with something. Again, this person that I spoke to at the military said that they're doing things, they're seeing things that they've never done before, they've never seen before. The government and the military are taking measures and strategically planning and preparing for things that they've never prepared for before. So I think it would be wise for us to do the same. And that's saying a lot coming from somebody that's been in the military for 20 plus years. That's what they do. They're prepared for every possible scenario of every, retaliation or every attack or every this or every that. And they're saying, I'm seeing things that I've never seen before. Stuff we've never done before to get ready for what could potentially happen. The third thing, we got food, water. The third thing is shelter. You might brush that off like, oh, I could check that box off. I have a home. I have a roof over my head. I have my apartment, whatever. Okay, but if your locale, if your area becomes endangered in some way, whether, again, that's from direct, some type of military impact of some kind, or whether it's just loss of power, loss of resources, whatever it is, what's your backup plan? What are you doing? You going to Uncle Bob's house? Okay, well, does Uncle Bob know you're coming? What are you taking with you to Uncle Bob's? Do you have that stuff already packed? Do you have a list of what you're going to take? If it's just a list, how long is it going to take you to pack that list? How long is it going to take you to get ready when it hits the fan and you got to get on the road? How long is that going to take you if you're not already packed? Are you planning accordingly by having your vehicle gassed up every single day? That might not be your normal practice, but it should be right now. In this season, it should be that your vehicle is always maxed out on gas. Do you have extra gas cans in the back? Do you know how you're going to get to Uncle Bob's? What if your normal route is blocked or there's traffic from 1,000 other people trying to get out of the neighborhood too? What if roads are blocked for some other reason? Do you have alternate routes? Do you know how you're going to get there? You know how you're going to communicate with Uncle Bob? Does he know, okay, when X, Y, or Z happens, expect us to be at your house, because we might not be able to call you. We might not be able to communicate because, again, communication could be down like that. The cellular network and the internet networks are we take them for granted, but they're so fragile and so easily taken out that there's a high probability that in a, SHTF type scenario, you're not going to have those resources. And there's one more area that usually I don't put this in my top 3, but I've come to realize how important it is, and that is medical. Again, not just stuff, not just medical supplies, but knowing how to use them. As much first aid, as in-depth first aid training as you can possibly get yourself to learn, along with supplies. You're going to need it. There's the rule of 3s they talk about, where you can go, 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, that type of stuff. But with a serious medical injury, especially something that's blood related, a loss of blood, you got far less than 3 days or even 3 hours. You can, if a bleeding situation is bad enough, you can bleed out in minutes. And if you think you're gonna, in these types of situations, if something bad were to happen in this world or in your neighborhood or wherever, that if you think you're gonna be able to just call 911 or rush your little child to the hospital and everything will be okay, it's not gonna happen. I just ran into a situation just probably, 2 months ago? And this is in the middle of a metropolitan area where emergency services should be readily available. And I ran into a situation with a person where I had to call 911. Fortunately, I had a first aid kit and had some knowledge to be able to at least help them a little bit, but had to call 911. And by the time I even got on the phone with an operator, it had been over 4 minutes. Over 4 minutes just to get somebody on the phone. Not 4 minutes for EMS to arrive. 4 minutes just to 911, please hold. Over 4 minutes just to get them on the phone. If that was a serious bleeding incident, that person would have been dead before I even got anybody on the phone, much less the time that it takes for the response team to even get there. And that's now in normal circumstances, normal everyday circumstances. That's going to be exponentially worse, that response time, if and when a bad situation happens. So, medical. Get your medical supplies, learn how to use them, be able to administer aid, tourniquets, lots of blood clotting and wound packing type materials, especially for serious bleeds, any medications that you think you might need. Have all that stuff on hand. And again, preferably 90 days worth, if at all possible, or aim for that, build up to that point. I like refugemedical.com. Some brothers in the Lord that run that business, and the quality of stuff that they have, not just stuff again, but actual training as well on how to use that stuff. I highly recommend them. But to quote my friend, let me think, how did they say it exactly? This is different, or there's something different about this. I forget how they said it exactly, but in speaking about this Iran situation, and speaking about the global conflict, and speaking about how the military and the government is approaching this, how they see this situation, how they're preparing, the ducks that they're getting in rows behind the scenes, they're treating this, at least by my friend's point of view, and again, somebody that has this experience and has been to war and seen these situations time and time again, this is different. There's something different about this time. They're doing things that they've never done before. So it's time, I believe, for you to do things maybe you've never done before. Get ready, prepare for the worst, and don't assume, if you think, well, I'll wait till, there'll be signs along the way. Wake up, because the signs are already there. And if you wait till something happens, it's too late by then. If you wait till something, I'll order, my first aid stuff when X happens, or I'll start getting food next month. I'm not saying go and max out your credit cards right now and, get 90 days worth of everything all at once. But if you have any type of resources to be able to get any type of material goods to prepare, and or training to prepare for worst case scenario, please do it now. And again, I don't want to sound like the fear tactics person, but I trust this person that's telling me these things, and this is, like I said, not somebody that goes around bragging about, oh, guess what I heard, or oh, we don't talk about this stuff normally, and I had to go and ask. So this is not one of those type of people, like, ooh, look what I know, and let me brag about and show, my clearance by telling you what I'm seeing behind the scenes. It's not that. I believe the concerns are legitimate, very serious, and the thing about what I'm telling you that you should do, you really can't go wrong, because best case scenario, let's say next week Iran gets the greatest leader put in place. Everybody's at peace, no more wars, everything's wonderful, everybody's sitting around the campfire singing Kumbaya, all the world leaders, and everything's great. Nothing happens, no attacks on US soil, no more deaths, no more war, everything's great. You're still going to need to eat next week. So all that food, if you're stocking up food, that's not going to go to waste. You're still going to eat. You could still use all that water. It's still good to fellowship with Uncle Bob and have a plan in place, and go in fellowship with Uncle Bob, make plans to, you know, have, even if it's just some natural disaster, even if it's not war, even if it's an earthquake, or if it's, you know, the power went out or whatever, and you need to go to Uncle Bob, that's still, all that stuff is still useful to have in place, even if we're not talking World War III mushroom clouds in rural America or suburban America. So all those things that I'm talking about are good to do regardless. I'm just urging you to speed up the process. Love on the people around you, get ready, prepare for the worst, pray, get right with God above all things, seek Him, love on the people around you, get after it. Oh, like, share, subscribe. Please share this video. Help get the word out. Again, I don't make videos like this. I don't, this is not some, I have no reason other than not wanting to see people suffer unnecessarily than to make this video. I have no reason other than that to share this. So please share it with people. Get after it.